Hello everyone, I'm Lana. Today I will be talking about the 3 new groups that JYP will be debuting in the near future. So the question is it possible for JYP to debut 3 new groups? I ask myself this question because a few years ago, before ITZY made the debut, JYP said that they will be debuting 4 groups in a year. Thing that now we know didn't happen. So why would I think this time it will be any different? Especially since it has not been long since Stray Kids and NiziU made their debut, and they are both not well sedimented in the industry. Stray Kids have gotten great popularity and they need promotion. And Twice and Day6 are both close to reaching their 7th year, which means uncertainty for the company. Currently, the groups JYP has are 2PM, Day6, Twice, Stray Kids, ITZY, Boy Story, and NiziU. The last 2 being from China and Japan respectively. And the groups we know JYP will be debuting in the next year, near future, sooner rather than later, are JYP Loud, JYP N/Squad, and the band that I don't know how it's called. These groups will likely be debuting in the same pace or style that GOT7, Day6, and Twice debuted back in 2014 and 2015. However, the panorama back then was very different than the panorama JYP has now. Back in 2014 and 2015, JYP had the Wonder Girls, Miss A, 2PM, and 15 and. In 2014, the Wonder Girls went on a hiatus, Sonia left the group, and Yeon made her solo debut. Miss A released what we now know was their last mini album on October 30th, 2015, over a year after their previous comeback. 2PM had regular activities. 2 members from 2AM did not renew their contract with JYP, which set them on a hiatus, and 15 and had no activities as a group. But right on 2015, both members debuted as soloists. We know that from those groups, 2PM, Jamie, Yerimbaek, and later Wonder Girls and Suji were going to be active in music. But essentially, 2PM was what they had. So it made sense to debut new groups. I don't know 3, but they had the economic means to do so. Well, let's go for it. Because debuting a group is extremely costly and demanding. And I just can't imagine what it would be by 3. So JYP got to work and selected their array of trainees that would become their new source of income and become GOT7, Day6, and Twice. GOT7 debuted January 16th, 2014. Day6 debuted September 17th, 2015, and Twice debuted October 20th, 2015. If we do the math, we see that Twice debuted a little bit over a month after Day6. How on earth did JYP debut 2 groups practically at the same time? Well, if you know the story, you know that JYP had a little trick up their sleeves, something that we only found out in 2018. Twice had been a little experiment for JYP Entertainment, and as he likes to play scientist, he did not say a single word until the theory was proven. But the thing is that, unlike how it is typically done, that a company has a publicity team to work on all the groups and idols that the company manages, what they did was test how it would work to have a team especially focusing on publicizing Twice. This obviously worked wonders, as Twice is now one of the most successful groups of the 3rd generation. But why am I telling you this? Because naturally, under this method, more groups require more staff, which requires more payment, which requires more income. Assuming that Day6 and Twice renew their contracts, which I will talk in a little bit, JYP will have a total of 10 groups. But more importantly than the staff and the money that's required is the stage that the groups they already have are in. When GOT7, Day6, and Twice made their debut, The Wonder Girls, Miss A, 2PM, and 2AM were already established groups with many years in the industry, with Miss A being 4 years already into their careers, which is roughly what Stray Kids will have once these new groups made their debut, with the exception of 15 and, but that's a story for another time. But Stray Kids have just started gaining strength. It's still in the growing stage and need to basically just make their debut. These groups need time and resources to grow and make a name for themselves other than a group from JYP. Also, JYP loves being involved in the songs from... Also, JYP loves being involved in the songs for their girl groups. But there's so many JYP groups, there will be not enough JYP to be divided. But actually, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It depends on your music taste, I guess. But now the serious part. Will Twice and Day6 renew their contracts with the company? Day6, they're out of there. They don't want to know a single thing about the company anymore. Jay already packed his bags. He's ready to leave the second his contract is over. And I honestly cannot blame him. I think the other members will also leave because of lack of promotions from the company. But mainly what I have been seeing on social media, and which I agree, is that JYP is making them more and more into an idol band rather than just a K-band. So even though I would love for them to stay in the company because it creates less uncertainty, I really, really doubt it. Twice. I think they will renew their contract. Unless JYP pulls out GOT7, which I doubt because we know how that turned out for them. But just like GOT7, I don't see the girls wanting to leave the company. Also, JYP has to grow out of his Suji trauma and allow them to have individual activities. He has been slowly giving them more activities individually, which is a great sign of progression. And they have gotten so many activities this year, which is a sign that the company wants them to resign. But unless that contract stipulates solo activities and decent resting time, they're going to have to fight for it or leave. So, back to the original question, is it possible for JYP to debut 3 groups? I mean, back in 2018, the 4 groups that JYP had talked about, there were just 4 groups in a year. These didn't have names, members, teasers, anything. These 3 groups they're already here. They're coming. To some extent on another, we know who these are. What will happen with those groups and with the groups that they already have? Either JYP is blessed by the gods of K-pop and all of these groups become smash hits instantly with massive popularity, perfect chaos monster rookies making enough to support the company despite the cost of their debut, or they don't. I want to think that the company has a master plan prepared for the inevitable mess that this will be. But I really hope that all these groups can be successful. Because at the end of the day, they have the benefit and the expectation and the granted fandom that comes with being from one of the big 3.